set up here. Thank you so much, Kathy. Um, and it's wonderful to be here just with each of you, and I'm privileged. I truly am privileged. I wanted to share with you more on the personal end of things today because I talk about it in a professional way, and I'm used to inviting others and facilitating really the emergence of other people's stories. So this is a little bit different for me to share with you today about my story. But I want to share with you my Pinocchio story. And it's really a story about becoming real. Because Pinocchio, as we know, wanted to be a real boy. And for this, in this instance, we can say boy or girl. Um, he was wooden. And there was a lot of lies that he listened to, lies from others. And we all know it made his nose grow. But the important thing actually in that is that it was the lies that kept him from being real. And I don't know for you, I feel like there comes that moment in each of our lives where we choose to be real. Or the other option is we choose to be sort of this marionette, and we're controlled in some ways by external forces, and we may feel like life is happening to us. We don't have a choice. And so that's my story. In a lot of ways, my story is about what it's been to make that choice and to become real, instead of feeling like I have my life is happening to me, instead of it accessing that divine spark like Pinocchio did, that piece of me that is different, is unique. And that's a theme that we're hearing today too. It's that uniqueness that's only mine, and it's mine to share though, and that's my responsibility to share. So I want to tell you about how I used to remain hidden and feel like myself, that uniqueness needed to stay hidden behind those wooden eyes. Because that's actually what Pinocchio means. It's the Italian translation in Italian is pine eyes or wooden eyes. I felt like I needed to stay hidden, and that who I was, the real self, was really separate from what I did or my work. And so there's a connection between now the work and who I really am. And so there's three. I could show up. But there was strings attached. And I want to share with you three strings that were attached. One was the family. Hi, Mom. Uh, family. The other was relationships. And the third one was really in the work setting. So my family, we were actually about work. I love my family. They're also crazy. We're actually kind of workaholics. So that's where I get my incredible work ethic. But that was really a focus for us and became a challenge. So it was always doing projects. I grew up in upstate New York as well, way upstate, and on almost like a farm. So there was always things going on, and there were 6 of us kids, so we had this small little army, which was great for getting any project done. That's right. I'm going to tell you about the projects because they started at 4. That was the playhouse that wasn't really a playhouse. It was more like the extension of the real house. It was a project because we don't do anything half-heartedly, nothing. Um, then there was the basement redo, and we're talking tear it all down, rebuild it. I can drywall with the best of them. Absolutely. Just give me And I kind of grew up with a hammer in my hand, and then there was the massive gardens, and then there was the canning of the massive gardens. And then there was the animals, and then there was the baling of the hay to feed the animals every summer. So I'll never have to work out in my life because I've been lifting 50-pound bales of hay since I was 10. So, and then there was the fish hatchery we built from scratch. So we're talking about the cement, definitely put my handprints in, and then spawning of the fish every day, random things, the projects. And we were about work and what does it look like to get things done. And and my dad would kind of go on these manic, we got to get the project done, and that's what it was about, and that was the focus. So it would be like maybe 1, 2, 3 in the morning. I'm looking at the time, and he's on an adrenaline rush, which is great. And we needed to be right there with it. When I've got the hammer in my hand, what do you need to be doing? You need to be right here. You need to be handing me the nails. Let's think about it. Stay with me. Be in it with me. I'm serious. Um, but it's 3 in the morning, and I'm a kid. I'm tired, but we're on an adrenaline rush. We're in the project, okay? So there's no being hungry. No. There's no being tired. No. There's no, bathroom breaks. So, because he doesn't need bathroom breaks. Anyway, I had to, as an adult, growing up, I had to retrain myself. That separation between who I am and sometimes those sort of basic human kind of needs, I had to retrain myself to get in touch with. That's how separate it was from who I am to what I did. They needed to remain separate so that I could be in the project. I had to give up myself. That became normal. So then I didn't think about food. I would skip lunches, as an adult. Skip lunches and, forget to go to the bathroom all day. And, I could stay up all night, pull all the all-nighters. But anyway, that was part of really the strings that were attached. The next set of strings were in college, and I met a boy. I fell in love. We got married, and it was really an easy fit for me, to go in and to come alongside. He was really clear about what he wanted to do and the awesomeness that he wanted to be, and I was really good at coming alongside. It was a great project, and I was good at shut yourself down, focus. Yes, I was awesome. And then in my work, new set of strings or ropes to learn, no problem. I was really good at my job. I also felt like I was dying inside a little bit every day because I was doing something outside of who I really was. But I got it done. I really got it done. And but again, there was that separation. I couldn't really be real. And then the turning point for me was when I started to really cut those strings. The turning point was, for some of you, it might have been an illness, and I know some stories where you realize I've been literally killing myself, not seeing myself. There's this moment, or maybe feeling like I don't want to live anymore. I had that feeling. But I had a therapist tell me one time that I was at risk of passive suicide because I didn't care enough to actually take action. But I didn't want to live. So my turning point was actually in the workplace. And I was frustrated. I was really frustrated with my job. And I ended up meeting a mentor who asked me really annoying questions. And that was the turning point for me because I didn't know another alternative. I knew how to be frustrated. I knew how to be disconnected from who I am and how to complain a lot, actually. That was, because as a victim of my own life, it's happening to me. What else am I going to do, right? But complain a lot. So I did that. I was in a master's program, and I met a professor. His name was Ray Rude. And it was an interesting meeting of him as actually somebody needed help. I was in this program. He was a professor, but my brother-in-law came to me, and he needed some help. He was third-generation CEO of the family business, and he was struggling. He had been in it 4 years, and he needed help. He felt like the company could do better, but he really just didn't know how. He So he talked to me, which was totally confusing to me because I was like, did you see this 25-year-old face? I don't know what I'm doing. But we had a conversation, and I said, I'm in this program. I want to help. I want to get you the help that you need. So I asked my professor, Ray Rude, to come alongside me and to work with my brother-in-law. And um, Ray helped me ask my brother-in-law a lot of annoying questions. Who are you? What are you really about? What are you trying to do with this company? What are you doing with who you are? Like the personal side and then also the business side. And but it actually ended up, my brother-in-law just started to come into his own and realized that he needed to cut the strings. It was really from his father. He needed to operate in a totally different leadership style. It was really his own leadership style than his father. The company had reached the max of what they could do with his father's leadership style, with the completely micromanaged leadership style. So as he started to own that uniqueness within, you know, really his story and his leadership style, then he soared. We worked with him 6 months, and by the end of that year, they had doubled in revenue. And he, like, literally, that was 2006. The recession didn't even touch him. They're 3 times as large as they were. And so that was a catalyst, because at the same time as Ray was working with me with my brother-in-law, he was asking me those same annoying questions. Who are you? What are you about? What are you going to do with who you are? Are you kidding me? No one had ever asked me any of those questions before. I had no idea what to do with them. I mean, I was at a complete loss. And I feigned that they were just, annoying, because I really just didn't know what to do with them. They're hard. And then as I was complaining about my work one day, I was sort of at my wit's end. And he said, well, what are you going to do about it? I gave him the death look. The death look. What do you mean? I'm not going to do anything. Remember? I don't have any control. I'm being controlled. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to keep complaining about it. And then, of course, it sinks in, as you are driving home that night. Maybe there is something I could do. Maybe there's another option. Maybe, just maybe. And so that was a real turning point for me, where I started to see myself as able to do something a little bit differently. Maybe I could cut some of those strings that I've been attached to, and maybe the external world isn't quite so untouchable. But I hadn't thought about the option. So I ended up going and wanting to continue work. I told Ray, I think I need to continue your annoying questions. Like, I need you to stay in my world. And so we worked that out. I continued to work on projects with him. And in 2007, I actually moved to Boston, because the husband was the last year of his PhD program. And I started to enter this process with Ray. He guided me through a process where I could start seeing a life that was different, a life with no strings attached. And we walked through this process, and he asked me some of those questions of identity. And I would love, actually, I just want to invite you to take a moment and just jot down, because some of the questions he asked me were first about, what is your top value? And Amy talked about this too, belief or value. And so write that down. Just, what is your top value? What's the thing that really drives you in doing and living out who you are and what you do? And this is big picture, not just work, this is life. And I articulated that my top value was, I value the uniqueness of each person. Each person has the trace of the divine. Um, because that wasn't what I felt, necessarily growing up. It was about other things. It wasn't about my own uniqueness. And so um, I made a vow when I was 10. I remember exactly where I was walking across my kitchen floor. And I said, um, I'll never treat a human being as if they're not human. Each person is unique. Each person is unique in their own humanness. That's what makes us who we are, and we need each other to be that, and to live out of that. And so that was my top value. And then he asked about my mission and purpose. Why are you here on this earth? Serious? I mean, really? Why are you here? But I need you to answer that question, actually. Yeah, go ahead and write it down. And my first response was, I have no idea. I'm here to make other people's lives work. Yeah, whatever needs to be done, I can get the job done. Absolutely. You know that. But I started to dig a little bit deeper because that wasn't good enough for Ray, of course. We needed to ask more follow-up questions. And he said, there's only, one thing missing from that, and that's you. Whoops. Um, so then he asked me, what's your greatest question about the future? Think 15 years in the future. So I need all of you to do that now too. Think 15 years in the future, 2029. What's your greatest question? First, you have to see how old you're going to be. And I need you to go there too. um, so, one of my greatest questions was, am I going to contribute anything to the world that's of benefit? Will I matter, I think. And then I envisioned a whole day from the moment I cracked my eyes open to the moment I laid my head down on the pillow. I envisioned a day in 2029 when I was 50. And it was a really good day. And I had no idea what I would see. And I saw so much, and I had never dreamed of before. Because you don't dream when you're not real. I saw myself running a company. I saw a lot of things. I saw a really great life. I saw myself running a company, coming alongside other people, and helping them become real, authentic, and take charge of their lives, own their lives, lead their lives. Um, and I um, and then I told Ray what I had seen, and I said, Ray, just so you know, FYI, I'm pretty sure I'm running your company in my future. I just thought I'd give you a heads up. Okay, and then I backpedaled, like really quickly. Because I didn't do that. I didn't say those things. Not then. I do now. But um, definitely not to a real person, like an authority figure. Like, I didn't say that. And so I actually followed up. Of course, you would have to buy into it. You do own the company. Your name is on the, those minor details. And he got very serious with me, actually. And he said, no, you will have to buy into this first and the most. And then you'll have to enroll me in your vision. And you'll have to convince everyone else around you that this is a good idea. So that became my mission. And I did a lot of things. I started to create my plan and create my partnerships because those are the next steps in the process that he walked me through. And really, what was it going to take to make that real? And then I ended up, I did a lot of things to worm my way into the company, his company, And then I also went to Toastmasters because I figured if I'm going to lead a company, I'm going to have to speak in public. So I went through the whole certification, and through a series of opportunities, because of what I had seen, I um, was able to start taking more leadership in the company. His business partner had to exit quite quickly, and so I ended up being able to take over some leadership responsibilities and then work my way kind of into the company. He called me up one day and says, "Well, Priscilla, I think your vision is unfolding a little sooner than you'd anticipated because, this exodus was not anticipated." And she didn't know anything about my vision, his business partner. He said, "Well, really the only person that knows enough to take over some of what I do is guess who?" So my plan was working, my conspiracy, how I was making my vision real, making myself real, really. Um, so that's my story. It was 7 years after I initially did the work, had that initial interaction with my mentor Ray, and 4 years after the vision work, and 15 years earlier than I envisioned, that I took over his company, the Genesis Group. So, um, it was a not so hostile takeover. I want to, right, Mary Ellen, his wife. It was, but that was, now it's, the vision is expanded to to make the company even more real, more profitable, more impactful, because that's what I see. Everyone needs to be real. The world needs us to be real. For each of us to really grasp onto our calling. And that's what I love to do, to come alongside others and help them do, is to help them like a famous theologian says. It says our calling is where our deep passion meets the world's deep need. It's where our deep passion meets the world's deep need. The world has deep needs, and they need us. The world needs us to be real and to speak and to share our stories, really. And that's what I'm committed to. So I want to ask you a really annoying question, one last one. Do you need to get clarity about your future, about where you're going, about what it means for you to be real? If so, I want to talk to you. Okay? Because I used to feel like I needed to keep myself hidden, to keep who I am separate from what I do. And now I know that I need to access that divine spark within me. I need to be myself in everything that I do, including talking to you. And I need to do that. The world needs me to do that. No strings attached.